The federal government seemed very interested in giving us monies to do studies. They just wouldn't let us do anything with the studies we did.
It involves the first time a community or worker ownership of a basic industry. You would now for the first time get into a basic industry and into an area that the establishment considered its real preserve. And that may have been the reason why the plan was finally ruled against.
And we found out through the newspaper that he said Briar Hill was going to be shut down within a year.
The Youngstown area is facing a very dismal holiday and unhappy New Year. After yesterday's bad news, Jones and Laughlin followed up today by announcing the closing of Briar Hill. This will cost 1,400 J&L steel workers their jobs.
I guess I'll have to probably relocate and find a better job somewhere else.
It makes me mad. I got a wife and 3 kids to support. But I'm going to find something. But for the guy that's got maybe 20 years, that's 40 years old, 42 years old, what's he going to do?
They have no care about the community, the infrastructure of the community, the schools, the community life, the homes, the churches. The whole life of Youngstown is being thrown aside for the sake of profit. Naturally, then we started getting ourselves together and said, what can we do about it? So we thought we'd fight to keep the plant open.
No, it wasn't a wildcat strike. It was members of Steelworkers Local 1462. The idea is to pressure the Jones and Laughlin Steel Company into reconsidering its plan to close Briar Hill.
That became part of our fight, you know. Let's not make it so easy for them to get out of town.
Steelworkers Local 1462 sponsored a rally in downtown Youngstown this afternoon to once again keep the issue of lost jobs in local steel plants before the public.
The local unions repeatedly tried to meet with the Jones and Laughlin management. Finally, their efforts paid off. A meeting was set between the company, the members of the union local, and representatives of the International Union to discuss the fate of Briar Hill.
All the company representatives were from Aliquippa or Cleveland. Highest union authority there was from Cleveland. The only people in the room who were arguing to keep the plant open were the local people working there. That the decision was in the hands of everybody who lived out of town.
The International Union said, well, you have all these benefits. Well, that's like saying, what kind of a casket do you want, you know? And,
So there was very little movement and involvement of the International Union into a total shutdown. They took the position basically that this is going to happen. And as far as we're concerned, we're going to protect whatever rights that you have.
We had called a union meeting for that night to inform our members of the progress we were making. Well, one of the fellows jumps up and he very angrily pointed out the fact that the company president, division president, was speaking to a society of iron and steel making engineers at the country club. So he says, if that guy won't give you answers, let's make him give us answers. Let's go up there and get him.
And it was very interesting to sit there at the meeting as I did and kind of feel the sentiment grow, hey, this is our chance to talk to the man who won't talk to us.
And finally, it was the third time somebody else jumped up. The guy's up there at that country club, let's go get him. And finally Ed said, well, okay, if that's what you want, let's go.
And everybody bombed out of the meeting and got in their cars and went down to the country club and set up a picket line.
We did that for about 10 minutes, and it was cold. Okay? Somebody says, well, he ain't coming out, let's go inside,
So they did. They went through the doors of the country club and into a little lobby. And they began to chant, where's Alan? We want to see Alan.
Well, just about the time I was convinced he made a run for it out the back door, he did come out. And when he approached the crowd, he paused and looked at Ed Mann, and he says, now, Ed, he says, we're handling this through the union.
And as if from every side of that little area, a dozen people speaking spontaneously, came the response, we are the union.
Hey, buddy,
don't you think it's time you asked us who we are? We've lived and worked here all our lives, and you never asked before. You might even learn a thing or two if you listen every now and then. Hey buddy, take a good look, you're gonna see this face again. For we are the future, we are the nation, we are the people, we are the union.
But the Briar Hill thing dragged out for 2 years, and people pretty much got wore down. We had the trade benefits, and you know, people got into a psychology that it was inevitable, and let's not screw up what we have, you know.
The people who have made steel at Briar Hill for years won't have jobs after the end of this year. Jones and Laughlin called union officials into a steamy second-floor room today to announce the company will follow through with its promise to virtually close Briar Hill and lay off 1,400 workers.
On the same day, the workers at Briar Hill gave up their fight and negotiated the best package of benefits that they could, and the Ecumenical Coalition heard that it would not receive the loan guarantees necessary to reopen the Campbell Works. Both those things happened on the same day. There was a general feeling, which I shared, that hey, we're not going to win these battles. We better get ready to make a fight at U.S. Steel.
The bomb leaves 1330 union officials and workers at U.S. Steel shocked and angry about the decision to close both the Ohio and McDonald works of U.S. Steel.
When we did go down, it was a terrible blow. It was a terrible blow.
I felt, you know, as if they cut my legs off. You know, they really felt impotent. You know, I couldn't do anything about it. Nobody would listen. Nobody would even talk.
We had no idea until you turned on the TV and they said it. You know, it was no idea that was going to happen. It was a shock to learn it that way.
When I first heard about it, my son called me. He told me they were going to shut down. And I think I cried.
And then when they decide to leave, it's just tough luck. Follow us. You know, we're taking the jobs to the Sun Belt. And if you want to work, follow us. It doesn't matter that you have roots so deep in this valley, and friends and homes and loved ones in graveyards that you might like to go and put flowers on their grave on Memorial Day. You know, that kind of stuff doesn't make the bottom line is money, profits. And if it's more profitable to have a bunch of kids working in Juarez on microchip computers, that's where they'll take it, wherever the profits are. And it doesn't matter what they leave behind.
They announced the closing in November of 1979, right? And then I was laid off January 4th, 1980.
We always wanted to stay here because of our family. But now, if George can't find work in this community, you have to go where he's going to go.
If you lose a job, and I mean, you don't plan on moving or something like that, you plan on, you have a set pattern, you finally start developing a set pattern, and it gets thrown to the wind, you know.
The youth of the family are most of them have left town. You know, those that are looking for jobs. I have a daughter myself that's in Denver. You know, so everyone has to leave this area in order to find, and it's a tremendous drain. At least when the family stays intact, you know, you have the effect of one helping the other. But when it gets spread out like that, then everyone is spread so thin, nobody can help anyone.
And I look at my